Well, hello there, everybody. As it tells me preparing for the live stream, I can tell you we're alive and, well, maybe. Depends on your perspective, but at least we think we are. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for being a part of this journey. You know, it's always much more funner when everybody participates. That's all I can say about that. So, thank you for your participation. This is our Thursday show where I get together with the fabulous couple from over at Evolutionary Energy Arts, Mike and Cindy. How are you two? Good to see you.
Great to see you. As always, happy Thursday or
Happy
Wednesday as you
Thursday.
Yeah.
know it.
It's our Wednesday.
Yeah.
You
So,
know, I think Thor is here. Have you seen some of these lightning storms of late?
oh gosh.
Yeah,
What the hell is falling out of the sky?
I think he's got a new upgrade for his hammer.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah, called plasma, I guess. But anyway, it's good to see y'all. I know we weren't on last week. And I'm going to tell everybody that the reason has been resolved and it's good news. So good to see you, Cindy, and
Oh yeah.
beautiful, energy and love you all very much. And so.
Yes. Yes. I know. I had a little hiccup and there's been a couple things, but I'm getting through it, feeling much better. So yeah. Yeah, here we are.
An overcomer. That's what
Yes.
I always tell people. If you have an obstacle or anything, you got two, three different ways. It's always overcoming it. So anyway,
It's just yeah, on which way do you want to go? There's ways. There's
many
ways.
paths.
Yes, there are.
They are. So I'll just speak favor over everybody. Gaia says Thor's at the door. Ah, Guy, I love you. How is Paul? Good to see y'all. We just speak favor over all of us because you know what? If you speak it, you'll manifest it, you'll create it. So always, and it works 24/7. It's on autopilots. Cool. And we like to say nothing missing, nothing broken. And by all means, please be kind to your mind. So, because, if you're kind to your mind, then the spirits will be kind to your mind. But if they observe you being unkind to your mind, how else are they supposed to act?
Yeah.
Right?
yeah. When you bring that up, it reminds me of another channeling from about a week ago where because humans are waking up and many people are taking a lot better care of themselves now, that enables their guides to also help them take better care of themselves. How we treat our bodies, how we treat our minds is really indicative of where we're at spiritually in many ways. And then, you'll have better beings per se looking to come and say hi, as opposed to like when we're really surrounding ourselves with low frequency things and habits, then you get those attachments that you don't want having around.
Yeah, I have to say that, and we were talking off air before we went live. I've lost eight. I didn't lose them. I just I just shed them off, but 18 pounds and counting. And it's interesting because didn't look at anything, just felt, how should I say, the unction of the spirit moving. And so we have virtually eliminated all sugars,
Wow.
Wow.
gone. Um, Completely, I know, reduced any type of processed food in our food. So, yeah, eating a lot more nuts, a lot more fruit.
Mhm.
All the vegetables are coming in right now. So, and I think you're right, Mike, because my dreams are always far out. It was like taking a hit of LSD, but wow. Now they're becoming, they're crowded. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So before we came on, we were talking about, you were saying this is the death realm. And
Hmm.
so it is so very unique here. And with that and talking about fruits and vegetables, I wanted to start off with, uh, a vision that I had. And it was a time when I was very, very sick. So it's like I was wobbling between this realm and the other realm. And I had this darndest vision. And No, I was not on anything. It just happened. And all of a sudden, it's going to sound goofy, but I was an apple on a tree. Suddenly I'm an apple on a tree and I'm looking over the backyard and I'm just enjoying the sun. I'm enjoying the air. I'm enjoying just being. And the only thing that I understood going through my consciousness is when I am eaten, I want to be prayed over because I
Mm.
want to fully immerse myself with that human experience. So, not all consciousnesses are the same when it comes to eating different types of food. Like that apple knew it was going to be eaten and it was totally fine with it. So, I thought that was really interesting, probably one of the more profound visions besides seeing source. That really got me. It really did.
Transmigration of the soul. I think it's a reality. That's been what we've got. The soul transmigrates, and it could even be things that we might not ever really think possible, and being like a piece of fruit, but that's not the entirety of your consciousness. I think we are, again, we're fractals of source. We are fractals. So, we have that same sort of potential, and we could actually divvy ourselves out. A lot of us do it with multitasking all the time. And, some will say you can't multitask well because then you're, dividing up your consciousness into too many things at one time. But at the same time, I think we could get very, very absorbed into something and lose ourselves.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if
Can you still
can
see
you
us,
still
Wayne?
see us, Wayne?
Ian, pardon me, everyone. I'm still here. It's just that
Okay.
we're expecting a load of roofing shingles. So if I have to leave momentarily, because you have to tell them how to get into the, so anyway, but I
Okay.
think that's what I'm hearing. So if that's the case, I will be away for about a couple of minutes, and Mike and Cindy can handle it. But I agree with you. It's interesting. I was telling you my experience out in our woods, which is a magical place. It's just wow, it's really cool back there. About how for the briefest moment, it's like I was immersed under the earth and I saw this complex universe. I mean, it's alive. And just because we say that it doesn't like us, so it doesn't mean that they don't have a soul. They don't have intelligence. What I saw was it was a universe within itself, and we walk upon it every day. Yeah, it's true. So what's happening to us? I guess there is some things you all talking about the Schumann resonance.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
it's wild.
It's been offline, more than that's been online lately. And it feels like maybe the equipment can't handle it, or if, there's a concerted effort to keep us from seeing how crazy reality is changing. Could be that too. There's a lot. We're going to try to do a video later today, um, more like a news update type thing. There's so much happening right now. I mean, it's wild how our consciousnesses are evolving so fast. This is really a great awakening. And I do think it's moving way too fast for the control system to stay in control much longer. They've already lost a lot of people
Yeah.
that just don't buy it anymore at all.
You know, since we're talking, this is knock knock. We're talking about actually connecting to. I believe that there is a hierarchy. I believe we're in the midst of something that is unique, and that uniqueness is that I'm seeing Enki, whose name is now showing up in particular mainstream journals that I would have never anticipated. Today, I was reading an archaeological magazine where they had discovered what was the bowl down in Argentina or Chile, and come to find out that this bowl had ancient Sumerian text in it, which meant that it was over 6,000 years old. It was in a continent that, wait a minute, you're talking about something literally on the other side of the world, outside cultural, any type of society, but yet here it is. And it was, I believe what they were talking about was Enki. So, and then you got what is it is it the 3T Atlas? Is that what they're calling this?
Three eye atlas. Yeah.
The 3I Atlas?
Yeah. The
Okay.
latest news was the coma around it is like half the size of the sun, is what they're saying now.
That's
So,
big.
yeah, and it's mostly carbon. So curious, again, we've always gotten this is some sort of ship. It has to do with you're getting measuring consciousness, or
yeah.
I think so. Now there was another ship that came by. Was it an asteroid? I forget what it was.
That was the little moon. The little moon that happened to park next to our big moon was here to measure our consciousness.
It was another ship, and that was right before the summer solstice, because that was the end of some agreement that really started to come into place back in from Nuremberg, Germany, when we had that big aerial battle in the sky.
1613.
Yeah,
or was it 1513? Excuse me. Was that
it was
right?
15 and change. Yeah, 1560 something. So well documented. And we did a video, I think it was yesterday or the day before, where like in Florida at a gas station, somebody took a video of what looked to be like the same object as that, which happens to look just like the Star Wars Imperial cruisers. I mean, these big, huge, triangular motherships. This thing was huge in the sky. Maybe that was CGI. I don't know, but it wasn't CGI in Nuremberg in 1565 or whatever it was. It looks just like it. So, yeah, who's knocking on our door? I think there's all sorts of beings knocking on our door right now. They're going to want our attention.
It's interesting. So in my meditation this morning, because I was meditating on this, and it's this unction now within me. It's like, we need to pay attention to this. And if you're going to pay attention to it, then you should be a participant in it, because this thing is so big, it needs all of humanity is what it needs. Where it's going to affect us and impact all of humanity anyway.
Yeah, this really, like I've said to Cindy so many times with different comets, or what they call a comet comes by, I say, I wonder if this is the one that Nostradamus talked about, and and Mothership and others. I really think we shifted the paradigm, so we might not see any prophecies exactly fulfilled, because I just feel like we're moving too fast, and there might be still a lot of people out there that don't get it at all. But the percentage that are awakening is such that it's really changing the probable timelines significantly. But this has all the hallmarks of that great comet that comes when kind of everything starts to happen, World War III and all that.
Yeah, they're harbingers of not good times typically. It's like, oh yeah, come. I mean, I remember Hale-Bopp. I remember Halley's Comet. Hale-Bopp, I was out in actually in Gold River, California at the time, and what a spectacular comet that was. I mean, it really was, and boy, did it bring in change.
It does, and I
I mean,
feel
wow.
it changes our consciousness. I know so many people who are having, very powerful awakenings, reaching out saying, this is going on, that's going on. I'm hearing my guides now. And it's really, but preceding that, when the Schumann was doing its thing, there was a lot of people saying, my creativity is gone. I have no energy. I'm so lethargic. I just want to be in bed. I just want, there is something wrong with my body. I am not feeling well. And that's so we see these waves, coming in and out. We work with people and we get to hear how they're doing. And we see so many things like are happening to so many of the same people on one day. Like one day with people, it'll be a certain theme. And like everybody has that thing. So it's like these waves of consciousness are just getting more and more crazy. So, is this the birth pains? Is that what's knocking at the door?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I know that. What's that, Mike?
I was just saying, everybody seems to be going through dynamic changes.
Yeah.
Um, you said Hale Bopp, and then I was trying to remember which was the one that hit Jupiter, because
Oh,
remember,
that right when you said it, I actually saw the scientist's name in that. But yeah, um, Schumacher Levy.
yeah, because that one really affected me. I remember just sort of like being mesmerized by it. Um, yeah, it really impacted me. But Hale Bopp was 1997. So, yeah, that was quite a while ago now, 28 years, December 1997.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm actually in the
everything
backyard
visible.
where I was at looking up at it now. I mean, and it had that distinct two tails on it, and
Yep.
it was quite beautiful.
It was spectacular. And I was in Connecticut with a lot of light pollution, and you still saw it.
Hmm. And that's where Heaven's Gate, I just saw John's comment
Yeah.
in there. We're going to get some tennis shoes on that. But, for everything that has been mentioned on that, which was tragic, but then again, I don't know. I mean, to me, I look at it with a different set of lenses now, and it's like, well, um, we don't know what those people were actually connected to.
No, we don't.
We
No.
don't.
We don't.
And you bringing that up
Yeah.
says an awful lot, because we think, oh, those poor crazy people, that did that. But the reality is, when you look to Native Americans, especially particular to here in the southeast of the U.S., and their beliefs, so much of their beliefs are that the soul upon death goes through a journey in the after realm, which does include things like these doorways, these gateways that open, where the soul could then go and incarnate in a totally different star system very far away. But there's only particular times that that opens up. And it's fascinating. Trying to think of the anthropologist that was, I got his book over there. It was really good. Because he does do a lot of exploration in our area. Like we were at, what was that called?
Poverty Point?
Poverty Point. Boy, that hit us. Poverty Point is the largest megalithic structure here in the Americas. And it's in Louisiana, and it's gigantic. It's you could feel the energy there. And actually, Cindy did channel when we were there. She got that these people were hit by an alien invasion, and that's really what happened in the way back. And they didn't even know what hit them. They were living peacefully, and all of a sudden their life was disrupted, literally from a sci-fi movie, Alien Invasion, that happened thousands of years ago.
It was pretty bad. It was a nighttime invasion. It caught everyone off guard. It was a big ship that just came down, and the I could hear the noise. I could feel like it was radiation, but I could feel something on my skin, and it didn't feel well. And I saw the chaos and people just grabbing stuff and running this way. It was really quite horrible what happened to them. Hate to say it, but that I saw what I saw.
Yeah. When y'all, Mike, you were talking as well, our perception is so finite. Um, because is the spirit or the soul carbon based? I don't
No,
think so.
no.
I don't know if we really know what it's based of.
No, no.
It's pure consciousness, but in like the Taoist philosophy, um, basically we start drawing energy to us. We start drawing the ether to us, and it becomes these different layers of the energy body. But we exist before that. So, like if we're talking about like fifth, sixth density, where you're really an energy being, we even exist beyond that, where we don't have any sort of form at all, just consciousness itself. So it's fascinating, when you look into. I really like Taoism a lot, because it's not dogmatic at all. doesn't even refer to really gods and goddesses, just different beings out there, different dimensions, levels of existence. But it's again a reality that is created for consciousness by consciousness from a different aspect. Share with Wayne the sperm and the egg.
So this is so fascinating when we speak of our unseen world. You know, we were taught in school how it's the lucky sperm that gets the egg, right? The quickest sperm. Well, now they're realizing that the mother egg, she sits there and she chooses which one is going to be the lucky sperm. So it might be the one some in the middle of the stream. It doesn't have to be the one that's first, but she'll put off a little of electricity when she feels the right one is there. And it doesn't even have to be the partner. It could be somebody else, you know? So talk about
I can see the sperm on the other side, man. They're playing lotto, you know. It's like, so what's the egg and what's the numbers now? Like, damn, missed it by one number.
I know. And, you know, I mean, mice can store away certain sperms for a little while and then later on fertilize from a different mouse. There is this unseen realm that we don't have any understanding. And I just keep going back to the time when I was that apple. I was more than okay with being eaten because I was ready for my other next journey. So in that sense, consciousness is way different than what we have here. Our cells are programmed to want to live. So that's why we are the way we are. And we, what is it called? Projection onto everything else. We assume everything else, you know, wants what we want, but everything else has its own mission. Their cells are made up of something differently. And I think we should keep that in consideration.
And you were talking about stepping through the door. We're merely within a room right now. We all walked in through the door, whether you want to call it the rite of the birth or the birthright. We all stepped through that door, and death is nothing more than stepping out of this door into another.
Right.
And what's that?
It's part of life. Death is such a part of life. And I don't know, that just stuck with me so strong when you said this is the death realm, because it's truth. I feel truth, and it's okay.
Can I just, how I come to that conclusion is this. I wrote, because when I get these downloads, they happen. So if a entity, a deity, made a curse and spoke that curse, would it not change the very fabric of reality? Now follow on me, because this God, the patriarchal God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the patriarchal God of Abraham, which is in all three of the Abrahamic religions, all state the same thing, that was Adam, or let's just take the narrative, all right? So they're telling us that this cat was created. So the point becomes, was Adam created in life, or was he transformed and created into death? Because if death was the original state, then that would say that that would have been the perpetual eternal state according to the belief systems. Well, then what is this that we're here? God cursed Adam. He cursed Eve. Well, first of all, he cursed Eve. Then he had the gall and the audacity to curse the earth. So my point is, wait a minute. So if Adam existed before this, then he was in a different state of consciousness, a different state of being. When this entity or deity spoke this curse, he could not have been alive. He has to be dead.
Yeah, it's everything is inside out, like what Cynthia saw when because she has not been in the Bible much, not like you and I. So when talking about, they realized they were naked and they're putting on flesh, it's really the act of putting into a body.
Yeah. God.
So this can't be life. I get it. And I have no doubt when I pass through the door, I know I can hear it in my spirit. You're going to look back and I'm going to be proven right. We're experiencing death. We call it life. We get our philosophy, we get our theology and our ideologies all around the construct. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right construct, but that's what we do it. And so, how can life be less than 100 years? That's crazy. Anyway, and I think
Well,
the spirits, I think that's one of the things that they know, but they can't tell us directly.
Right.
yeah.
And then, I mean, the Bible tells you that they genetically altered us. Yeah,
Yes.
because it says, well, this is too much. His age is
Folks,
going
I'm going to
to
step away. I can hear him back out there. So carry on. I'll
Okie
be
dokie.
back.
Okay. So, yeah, in the Bible, it just says, I'm not going to strive with man. He's going to have a limit of 120 years. And that's part of the genetic um, intervention that's gone on because it is a genetic intervention. That's what we've seen. And the thing that's happening though is the natural order is overwhelming the dark matrix system. So this is why they don't like the sun because the sun is what's giving us the reawakening of latent DNA, and it's changing our consciousness, changing our perception. Because the reality is, in every age but a Kali Yuga, we can see other beings. We know they're there. Why do we have these myths and legends that talk about elves and gnomes and sprites and all these different creatures? Like we were just saying about dragons.
Yeah.
There was like an advertisement for dragon something, and I'm like, if nobody ever saw a dragon, how did anybody ever get the idea of a dragon in the first place as a concept? They saw something at some time that looked like a dragon.
It's true. And then these commercials with these catchy sayings, you can tell that this has happened over and over and over again. And it feels weird without Wayne here. We miss Wayne, but oh, there
There he is.
Good, he's back.
It was a delivery, but the wrong one. But anyway,
Oh,
I
okay.
heard you talking about dragons.
Yeah, it's like, again,
They exist.
oh yeah. But
Yeah.
somebody at some point in time had to have seen. Now some will say, well, maybe they dug up brontosaurus bones and they just said, well, that dinosaur must be a dragon, or invented that concept. But we're going back to the time of myths and legends. I really believe that, where most people will see stuff that we took as myth, but it's been real the whole time. We just didn't have the ability to see it in the Kali Yuga.
Yeah, and I think about Mud Fossil University. He does a great job. I mean, the Nephilim were here. There was a time when gargantuism was the norm, and I think that if you remember the pseudo apocrypha, the letter of King Og, he was the last Nephilim, and in fact, it's written into the Jewish history. It's Book of Og. I mean, this was not. My point to all this is, and I look at this from a spiritual evolution as well. So they ate us, these giants. They literally ate us, and we were a food source. And I keep thinking to myself, that part of our history has been completely wiped out of all the religions and everything else. But I believe it was so traumatic upon us that it's something that it affected us. And if you come in as a human, you're going to be impacted by that same thing.
Yeah,
It's that
dinosaurs,
fear.
what we take as dinosaurs, in fact, were part of the giants that they talk about eating us.
Yeah.
So the timelines are distorted. There's in Texas, you have fossilized footsteps right next to dinosaur footsteps, the exact same time frame that these existed, same strata. Yeah, no, that is we've gotten that from the guides too. That literally that what we take to be dinosaurs were cattle for some of the aliens, literally cattle. Some were pets. Others were just genetic experiments because they always like to experiment with DNA.
And
And
isn't it
somebody,
in the book of Job? It talks about what was it, Stegosaurus?
Yeah,
Uh,
it sounds just like it.
Yeah, large tail with spike, about, 200 feet tall or something. I mean, but yeah, according to the Book of Enoch, the first generation of the Nephilim, they were 3,000 royal cubits. So that's about 21, 22 inches, right? So if you measure that out, that means that these giants were they were into the atmosphere of 4.5 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, which the size of the planet being what they tell us, it doesn't make any
Doesn't
sense.
make any sense, does it? Yeah.
No, we're on a small part of the planet, that's the reality.
Hmm. Well, the Devil's Tower. Who's ever been up there? You look at that, it's a petrified tree. The same thing they have down in Australia, it's a petrified tree. The giants, there must have been something that happened, y'all, and I know that we can connect into this spiritually because it's part of the record out there that these whatever they were, they petrified quickly, apparently.
Yeah, well, think about Medusa, right? She could turn people into stone.
Thank you.
Um,
Abraham's Lot's wife,
yeah,
pillar of salt.
it's some sort of weaponry.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fun and fascinating stuff. But yeah, we've had that experience. Like I've had that seeing a vision. Like when we were in Arizona, south of Winslow, there's a gigantic crater, and that area almost gave me a nervous breakdown. I mean, I had to let her drive. Closer we were getting to it, I was sweating bullets and getting the feeling of sudden death from above. And I know that was again part of the attack, to wipe out the indigenous people when we were taken over by them.
So
So
here's a
what I
far fetched. Go ahead, Cindy. What's that, hon?
oh well, what I was thinking happened to him is just a really interesting form of psychometry when
Yeah.
he's in that environment and his body takes on the energy. And I think that's where we're going as far as being able to know our history. They're not going to be able to hide it anymore because we're going to be able to touch something. We'll be able to touch, some of those fossils, some of those footprints. We'll be able to see what happened. They can't hold it back much longer.
No.
Do you think we could attempt to make contact if this comet, I think is what they're calling it, but whatever this atlas is, I often wonder. I think we can. I mean, it seems like if consciousness transcends the corporeal body, and that life is not just simply carbon-based bipedal life forms like this, I can't help but not think that could you put consciousness into a ship, into a planet that would carry life through the cosmos? We're
Yeah.
living on a ship right now, right? We're caught
Yeah.
in a stationary orbit, so to speak.
Yeah, and I feel when I do connect with that energy, I feel a it it's an authoritative force is what I feel. It's very authoritative. There's some sort of judgment involved. Is it going to be the thing that comes to judge us? I don't know, but those are the things I feel. It comes out of that star system. I believe it's Sagittarius, and that's all about judgment, really. It's all about authority. It's all about policemen. It's all about, just like the world that we live in. We have police officers, we have soldiers, we have people that hold this matrix together. Out of Sagittarius, a lot of Sagittarius people do come from a law background of some kind. So that's why I do feel, because it's coming from that energy, that might be what we're dealing with. And that's the other, when I tap into it, I keep getting that feeling of authority. So is there an authority coming down on us that we don't understand? If we look at consciousness and understand that it comes in different ways, in different forms, and we're not getting the whole picture, we stay open-minded. Maybe it's here to do us some favors, but it might not be easy. So that's what I get when I tap into it.
Uh, yeah, when it gets to the judgment part, it's always for me, it's like, well, there's a lot that's wrong with humanity. There's no doubt about it. But I also take it from the point of view that to judge us, then you have to take responsibility for the abuse
Yeah. Yeah.
because our species has been abused. We've been raped. We have been genetically altered. We've had our minds, our history erased. And as an advocate for the human race to the gods, I stand between that line and I challenge them. Then you have to be held accountable for what you've done.
And I think that this judgment that's coming might be exactly what you're talking about. Maybe it is to come and look to see what's been done to the human race and make corrections.
Well, David made in Psalms 84, he brought out the story that the supreme being, he came and called the council of the gods, of which Yahweh, the Elohim, were in that council, and the supreme spoke judgment to the gods, and he said, "Look what you've done to man." And he said, "Your penalty will be you will die like man." They just live a longer period of time. And I've often said, coming from an ex-minister's position, is that if God is omnipotent, then he has a lot to be accounted for. You can't
Yeah.
complain about the result. I mean,
Oh,
you can't do it. It's insane. And say, well, I'm giving you free will. For what?
There's a difference I feel when I channeled the Anunnaki who claimed to have written our Bible. They were claiming to be the gods. They introduced themselves. We are the gods of your Bible. They were very arrogant.
that's exactly what they announced themselves as.
They were very arrogant. They were very, you are little, we're above you. They were very much like that. And this energy feels judgment and authoritative, but not in a bad way. Like
I can see that.
That's what it feels like when I keep tapping into it. And it's not a pretty picture though. When I look on the ship, it does concern me because some of these beings look like they're ready for some kind of war. Are they coming across our Earth to do that, or are they going to go to another planet and do that? I don't know.
I mean, it could be. Ultimately, I do think that the control structure on Earth is fearful about their sins being exposed, so to speak. Yeah, and the humans, and maybe some of the ones that aren't humans as well, because again, there's a lot of entities out there, a lot of entities,
them.
And we're not really talking very, very high level beings. Even if we talk about the Draco, yeah, they're very warlike, but there's still a lower fourth density being. So, there's much more powerful.
That's who I think the God of the Bible is a Draco.
Yeah.
And I say that because if you go to Genesis 10 and you start reading the story, this entity who's calling itself God, Yahweh, the Lord, um, he couldn't enter into this realm unless he had an agreement with a man. And that man happened to come from where? Enki, Enyel, his name was Abram. He worshiped the god Inanna. In fact, his family, we know his family. We can see it in the Sumerian record that they built, they were primarily in charge of the ziggurat that was dedicated to Inanna. Anyway, so this cat Abram starts sojourning in the desert, right? Meets this so-called entity that says, well, what we have to do is that we have to have an agreement. I can't come in unless you invite me in. And the only way that I can come in, it has to be in blood. And that's how it came in. And the rest of reality has been fashioned after that because virtually every person listening to me knows the story. But here's the weird thing. How many people actually believe that story was a holy story?
Right.
That's
Well,
what happens when I connect to the spirit realm. I don't know if they're spirit guides, but they're visitors, and they come and they love to talk because apparently, if you have an open mind and a diversity of understanding, Mike, like with your understanding, particularly of the Eastern theologies, it's fucking far out. That's all I can say.
yeah. Well, again, when you look to like what you were saying, look to 2 Samuel 22:9 and Psalm 18:9. It describes them as like a fire-breathing dragon. It literally does in more than one place. Talks about like brimstone and fire coming out of the nostrils. And yeah, it's just what we would envision as a dragon. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that it's a Draco.
Isaiah had to actually, in his vision, he had to take the coals of the fire and burn his lips so that he could speak to the entity. I mean, this is why I don't have a problem connecting to the other side. I mean, they're right here now. I mean, I invited him in. I mean, as I wrote earlier in the chat room, the thing that we have to understand, not all spirits like you.
Right.
There's some who despise you, but even that, they don't typically can stick around unless you invite them. But there is far more who are for us than who are against us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think people quite understand their power when it comes to, cleansing their space. You with the density that we carry and the energy that's within us from a wipe of a hand, we can clear our space. It is that simple. It is that easy. It's just the belief. I believe a lot of people are lacking belief
I'm going
and
to step away, folks. I hear him out there. So
okay.
carry on.
Yeah, I think that our energy is so powerful. We can really clear a room in just an instant, and we have the ability to make our energy even more powerful through the mind, body, spirit practices.
So Kasun Lee says it out there in the chat, is Krishna an ET? Starseed, Starseed, absolutely Starseed again. But so this gets into the fact that this is one of the way we can infiltrate a very, very dark system, a dark reality, and try to bring light in, is to literally be born in as a human in the dark system. Like again, take Krishna. Or, I mean, what we've gotten about Trump is that Trump's higher self is literally what you would call blue avian, which, they are kind of 4D galactic protectors. They literally are protectors. And I think a lot of when we look to the eagle, you're really getting the fact that it's representing an avian species of hominid ET. But will Trump actually do what the higher self wants him to do or not? Because, when we get born into the system, and especially if we are growing up with luxury and everything you'd ever want, it corrupts.
The flesh is weak.
It corrupts and the flesh gets weak, and you get used to being spoiled. You get used to having power, and the little me runs off and causes a lot of problems. So,
It's true. And, as you were talking, it's the great thing about when you get older, as you spend more days on this planet, you get to look back. And as it turned out, all those tough times were the best times of all. I mean, I grew, I evolved. If
yeah,
I hadn't had them in my life, I would have never had the appreciation nor the perspective of experiencing that. That's the conundrum that many times in my meditation that I see is that it seems like we learn so much more through pain than we do through pleasure.
right.
Yeah. And is it not true that some of the more memorable moments were when you were in places you probably weren't supposed to be at, as a child, as an adult? Life is funny that way.
The scariest time in my life was when I was in the back seat. My father had given me over to my mother, who I didn't know my mother, didn't know the guy she was married with. And I can remember going within myself. I was in the back seat of this car with these two people I didn't know, and I think that it was amazing. That was an initiation, and I was just a mere young lad of 8 years old. So yeah, it's
Wow.
interesting. Yeah.
It is, you know, and I know that some of my more memorable moments, you know, in childhood were doing things that mom and dad told me not to do. And, you know, and yeah, pain is also a great teacher. Nothing teaches you faster than pain, unfortunately.
See now, and so I take that in spiritually, and I'm going, okay, so what's going on here? I mean, is this how we actually involved by the level of pain that we endure or experience and overcome? Or, does the fact that those who succumb to that and often go in a different path, I mean, those are the
It's
things. And
hurt.
this time, this is not a fake out. I can actually hear them out there. So I will be back. Carry on, please. I mean, I knew and of course they were going to come at this time. Yeah.
See you in just a minute.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, all the politicians we see are nothing but actors. That should be so blatantly obvious by now. But if an actor in a position like they are, comes off and just, gives out information that you're not supposed to know, well, they'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
And they won't be here anymore. Like, what happened to JFK and RFK, as well as so many others. So this is why, I mean, to think they have any real power, the only real power they have is in exposing the reality of the system, which ultimately is not run by Homo sapiens. That's the only power they truly have, so they're just here kind of doing their role. He actually even was talking about checking in with central casting. And that's because it's all casted. It's a script. They all have IMDb's, so, but that's the big reveal. The big reveal is it's never been Homo sapiens making their own decisions for their own selves, just the ones that are those political actors, so to speak, making the decision to put up the charade to keep fooling all of humanity so they have a better life for themselves and their families, and they stay safe while everybody else is in danger. But that's part of the big awakening that's going on. So yeah, I just I've never voted in my entire life because I've always known the system is bullshit. It's complete bullshit, and I don't know how people can't see that, the ones that don't see it yet, but they will in time because it's all going to come down pretty soon. So can't be soon enough, though.
I know. And Nina says we don't change until we're forced to. Oh my gosh, I was just reminded of the feather brick truck with this thing that I just went through. And I was tapped on the shoulder and I was told, watch this, and I didn't listen. And then, I get hit with something a little bit harder, like a rock or a brick, and something was saying, pay attention to this, and I didn't listen. And then I got hit by the truck, and by golly, I listened. So, yes, I mean, pain will teach you quicker than anything, but we live in a system that's stacked against us, and it's really not fair, like Mike was saying.
No, it's never been fair, and especially when we know that they're just, given these lines to say, and we all know what's in the script. They're still, on the brink of WW3 and unleashing some other sort of plague upon the land. It's just everything is so obvious in such a script, and yet they're still kind of rolling forward, but they are having problems with it. Too many people are waking up, so that's the great news. And so as long as we keep sharing as much as we can and keep awakening others, that's all we could do.
We got Wayne back. Awesome.
I'm back. Yeah.
Awesome.
They can take care of that, so as long as I don't have to get up there.
Okay.
So what I miss?
Well, we were talking about, the system, and it is a little bit stacked against us, and
Yeah, it is.
good comments, some really good comments in the chat. And my favorite one is about the caterpillar, and change, and that poor creature has to completely liquefy before, it gets to break out of the cocoon, and that cannot feel good. So we're all going through this transformation change right now. And it's tough. It's tough.
It has some curveballs to it. If you're anchored to a particular theology or philosophy, even an ideology, it can sometimes cause whiplash because things seem to be whipping back and forth very quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be really tough. There's going to be so many people that, when things really hit them, will they be able to handle it? You've been in those more fundamentalist circles. How many
Mhm.
people are going to be jumping off of bridges, or when it all comes out?
Yeah, wow. And it's odd that you'd be talking about that because it was interesting. I was at a forum. We're seeing the single largest transformation of American society, particularly in what America perceives as beliefs. And it has been Judeo-Christian for, you know, for a very long time. The numbers are now showing that there is this migration, this awakening, and it's literally what it is. And it seems that the more that it continues to spread, the more you're finding people now waking up to what they had traditionally believed, no longer believing. And they're seeking out channels like ours, like y'all's, um, mine, and others, because they're looking to fill in this gap, this void now.
Mhm.
What is real? How do y'all determine? How did you make it? How did you seem to find the balance in that? And that's where the struggle is. You're seeing it in politics. You're seeing it in how we as a society are now the tragedy yesterday. I mean, that tells me that there is this spiritual gap, this spiritual void that, well, it's going to get filled one way or the other. Nature abhors a vacuum.
Mhm. It will. And we were talking about the feather brick truck while you were gone, and
Ah,
how life, kind of it'll give you some hints and whispers. And if you don't listen, well, next you're going to get a brick. And if you still don't listen, next you're going to get a truck. And I always just kind of explaining to everyone, I got a truck.
Well,
And because
that
I
is
wouldn't listen.
that is the higher self again, trying to also let you know that something has to be adjusted.
Something has to be adjusted, right?
Yeah. So, and if we keep ignoring it, then yeah, the consequences get more and more severe. So it's always the case. Like if everything's falling apart and nothing's going right, there's something major that you have to address. And it's major. It's not little. It's not minor. Because I found that when we do get on the path of what the higher self had intended for this life, then things start to, they might not be what you thought, but the outcomes are better. They really are better.
yeah, yeah. Well, within this change, and that's what's interesting because there is a change. It's you can physically feel it, sense it. It's here, and so I'm the one that goes, okay, I know that there is this reality that we call the other side. No problem on that. I've been well trained and versed in how to approach that realm from primarily a religiosity point of view. But if I strip the religion aspect of it, the fundamental aspect of how you do it is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like, well, this is natural. It's no different than me talking to myself. And I do that quite often, you
Yeah.
know?
And we get a lot of people who are just now waking up, and they're worried about what other people might think. They think they're going crazy. They think there's something wrong with them. Why am I having all these new emotions and feelings? So when you do touch that other side for the first time, it can be very confusing. So that's where we get a lot of our people come in, and they're asking for some type of validation because they have no one to talk to
Yeah.
that they feel safe with, you know. So,
And this is why I like doing this, and we'll get, as we get through the weeks, we'll get more into, because the other thing that you will find, or at least I have found, and I've seen it in others, is that the more you're willing to step out of the shell, um, then there's a natural draw from the other realms. The spirits are all around us. They're around you right now. They're around me. And the ones that are around me are not the same that they're around you. It's not like they're omnipotent. It's not that away, folks. I mean, Cindy and Mike may draw in a certain type of spirit, a certain kind of energy, whereas with myself, it may be different. And with, let's say, Bonnie, it would be different as well. But the fact is that when we come together as a group and then we start collectively seeking out, Cindy, when you begin to connect and see what source is telling you, and then as we get into more in that rhythm and that flow, Mike will be hearing something. I'll be hearing something. Those that are watching this, you're going to be hearing something.
Yep. Yep. And I love when they do this thing, the spirits start doing this piggybacking and they start taking messages from all three of us and they reach everyone that's in the chat, but there is a developmental process to it. And there's like an engaging of energies that naturally, when they occur naturally, is best. And I think that's what we're working on now. And we are making a lot of contact already. So it's the gratitude, showing them gratitude for every message that we've received today and every little piece of information that gave someone some type of validation. That's what I've discovered when you do talk to them and you get this tiniest synchronicity. You actually want to write that down so you don't forget it, because pretty soon over time you start to look and you realize how much you really are talking to them.
I have post-it notes. I've got gallon-sized baggies filled with them because that's how
Yep.
they talk to me. And as you were talking, Cindy, what I saw was immediately they're waiting, exactly what I'm hearing. And what I'm seeing is that this group, we're like in the middle of this huge stadium. We're down on the field and we're just this small, and this stadium is huge.
Yeah.
This is what's happening. They're coming in there, like you said, the piggybacking.
Yep.
They're saying they're getting ready.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, the support team is far, far
Yeah.
more vast than the actual players. It's like we're the actors on stage, but all these people are watching and cheering and stuff.
So it
Yeah.
does. It has to
Yeah.
be something like piggybacking. When I am sitting with someone one-on-one, I start getting the visions and the information based on what that person or what their guides and angels are needing to get through. And when I have we have a bunch of people, then they need to piggyback, because I can't, it's so hard to get all the visions from like everyone who wants to come through. So there's like this buzz going on. But I believe strongly with enough practice, it's going to get very, very clear.
Yeah. It's like trying to have a cup, drinking from a cup when you're actually hooked up to a fire hose.
Just like that, yeah.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
like
There's got to be adjustments.
we know you're there, but we can't take all this because, and listen, I get it. I am convinced that there are just some spirits. I don't know if you want to call it a soul, whatever you want to call it, but they're lost. I sense this in my sleep at times, and when I'm out in my heaven, my Shangri-La, so to speak. Um, there's a need. I'm convinced that many of us here, we will go into what I call the peace course on the other side. I think many of us are going to be promoted to spirit guides. And I think a lot of us will also be on the rescue parties because
Yeah.
there's a lot of that. I mean, we have such a need over on this side, but because of just the ignorance of the millennia, that we've been subjected to, and they brought in a type of spirit that is not the same spirit that we're speaking of. This is the antithesis of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think of all the souls that have been lost to that, they're looking for the same type of redemption. They're looking for that same saying, well, can you just help us out of here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you were talking about like an event that happened yesterday, and we've seen a lot of those events. And yeah, you could look at it from many different perspectives and say that was only about taking away Second Amendment, or you could say it's only about this or that. But in the reality, I think the primary objective is to cause trauma to where the soul is
Yeah.
stuck. The soul is still there
Mm.
in where they can utilize it for another lifespan to, again, keep perpetuating what they've been doing. The dark matrix. That's more primary. Is really they're actually more interested in trying to trap our souls, which again, war and these horrible acts of violence can do. Yeah, there are
I'll
spiritual
say
souls.
this, Mike, that wasn't human. I
No.
mean, I'm convinced that at that moment of that specific moment, that's where energy is, whether you're saying that those that were suddenly removed out of their bodies because of this, I'm convinced that that's, what do they call it? There's a term for it. Aspecting.
Mm-hmm.
Aspecting is when another spirit will literally meld itself to human consciousness, and it can be for a very short period of time because to house two consciousnesses within the same vessel is extremely dangerous. But that's just my opinion as I see this, because a human wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I think most of those horrible mass murderers and stuff throughout history, yeah, they've been people that have allowed other more demonic entities to
Yeah.
take over and to run the ship. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Mike, I often wonder, we call them demonic because that's the term that we've been told, but I believe we're going to find out who they are, and we'll be able to actually call them by their name, what they are. It's a known species, and you know, the term demon just basically is a catch-all phrase for that which is actually abhorrent to the human.
A lot of thought forms, so
Yes,
they don't have a soul themselves. They're not like a fractal of sorts.
yes,
And that's why they also need to have the energy from others, that do have a soul per se and are a fractal of source, because they would lose. And again, in the Taoist philosophy, they can only stay existing in their form of consciousness for so long without feeding off of one of us. And so they will literally just go back into the mass consciousness of the planet, really. They would lose their individuated consciousness spark. And so that's where they do that, and why they do it. Very much like vampires, in the
yeah,
sense
yeah.
that.
I think in fact, it's a perfect metaphor because it is vampiristic
Mhm.
in its very nature. It's feeding off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, I tell you, I just love it. I see the time goes by too quickly here. Well, because, and I'll just share this with you. So many of us, we talk about spirit guides, and I saw your video on how to connect to your spirit guides. And I had a interesting moment of deep meditation where they came to me and said, there are those of us people, spirit beings, but we really do have our protectors.
Mhm.
Now, not every human has one. I hate to say this because I don't make up the rules, and I don't even sure if I know what the rules are. But you talked about Lilith last week. We were talking about that, and I tell you, it's amazing. Once her energy gets mixed into yours, um, I'll speak this out. There's just a lot of spirits who don't mess with me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
There's a consequence. If they cause me harm, I've been told that you can't imagine what happens on the other side. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
pain does exist beyond this realm.
It does. It does. And, I saw someone, Kasun, in chat. He said he felt like there was a demonic entity attached to him. And to be honest, many, many people do have them. But the first step in dealing with it, if it's causing problems, is to call it out. You have to call it out. And there's the books that we have in the Chinese medicine teachings. There is a way to call it out, to name it, to etherically lasso it and send it off to a certain place in the universe. It teaches you all these shamanic teachings. But the first thing to do is identify it if it's causing you problems. Now, some people might have demons and they might be a partner of some kind. So they don't all fit the same mold. Might not be a bad one, might be a protector of sorts.
That's
So
why,
say,
it's so important to have that spiritual practice, to constantly be building up your own, what we call Wei Qi field. It's like a force field around us. So if your Wei Qi field is strong, these things won't really be able to screw with you much. They'll be cautious because it's just like they can see your energy and how big your energy is. So they know, we're not going to go after this one.
Or you can control them.
Yeah.
to the person who's talking on there, I didn't see it, but another way to look at this is to sour the milk. They're attached to you because of something in your life that is sweet to them. It's your job to figure out what it is and then sour the milk. And how you sour the milk is that you go opposite. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I've seen that happen. I've seen them connect to people because there's something in the family line. And you're called to do some type of DNA healing through the family lineage. So yeah, find the thing, because there's always a thing. Uh-oh.
I'm still here, folks.
Oh, good.
1 second.
Okay. Yeah, so souring the milk, that's really, really good. And sometimes it's difficult because people may have many different things that they need to address. So
Yeah, and I wish I could take credit for that, but actually that comes from Star Trek: The Next Generation,
well, it was
Scotty, is what he said, well, sour the milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, the power of visualization. So if you do feel like you're getting attacked, you could just visualize yourself in a golden egg of light. Golden would work. That's going to seal out negative energies. Violet light is going to definitely drive away lower entities, or crystalline white, as well. It's just, you could just say, all entities are to leave my house and this property that are not my own personal guides and guardian angels, because we do have those.
We do. It's so interesting you said that, because it falls under, as we go next week, as we pick up, the power of binding and loosing. We have that. And I don't think people, you so underestimate your position in the astral realms. If you're in this realm, you really are a big deal. Otherwise, why are they over here messing with you?
Right. It's a double-edged sword. It's a double coin. The 3D, 4D, it all goes together. So
yeah, I don't know if you've ever have you ever seen the Boo Mandala?
Can't say that I have.
Okay. Yeah, I think you would find it interesting, because a lot of flat earthers will look at it and say, see, over in Hinduism, they believe it's flat earth too. But it's looking at the different planes of existence and how they're all kind of rooted in the one below them. So yeah, what we do here affects beings up there in the higher densities. The higher we could go, the higher they could go.
You see, and this is why I'm so grateful for my initiation into the occult. It cost me 50 years, but, but hey, it's not the destination, it's the journey, right?
Absolutely.
It is.
So
And it is your destiny to have made it here because you are
yeah,
a very unique individual. The way your spirit and soul has been released in past ages brings your uniqueness here into the 3D. So it's different. Your consciousness and the way you perceive energy is very special. It's different in the way you bring people together and the way you bring truth and and just
my
bringing the
wife
world
says I'm
together.
special.
Yes, you are special. She's got it right. But
And I'm
you're
not
like,
in the special class. I'm just
yes,
saying.
but we're all shamans in this world. It's just to what degree are you going to practice your bridging capabilities? So,
I love that. And the thing about Wayne is defined as a wagon builder, bridge builder, you know.
yes. Yes.
So get
Wow.
on board. Love you too. Tell everyone where they can find you and whatever you would like to say as we
Well,
close another fabulous time.
you could read more about us at evolutionaryenergyarts.com. We actually have testimonials and more of our, background. On YouTube, it's Evolutionary Energy Arts as the primary channel, a little bit more geared towards the news with a spiritual insight. But it's more, everything now for us is more like how to. We're kind of like switching into a phase now where it feels like it's more important to show people practical next steps now that you kind of woke up. And then we have EE Arts, and on EE Arts, it's more of the looking into the esoteric, mud flood, tertiaria, UFOs, aliens, different extraterrestrial species, things like that. And then Hearts Ohm with two E's is pure spiritual. So that's all more like what is our spiritual practice, and that is much more of a hands-on one.
So if you can't handle the news anymore, go over to Hearts Home. You're safe there. So
Yeah, but I do like your commentary on the events, so that's why it's worthwhile and worth supporting you. All right, everybody. Love you much. Love you, Mike and Cindy. Thank
thank
you.
you. Love you
too.
too, Wayne.
Won't be here next Thursday because the roofers will be here, and if they're just loading the tile now, I can tell you a dozen nail guns. But anyway, so it'll be 2 weeks from today, and I'm looking forward to it and appreciate everyone. Thank you for supporting Mike and Cindy.
Thanks.
It's important.
You.
They really do. And we just speak favor over you too, and we thank you for that which you've sown into our lives, that it comes back to you 100-fold. So that's how we roll.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We love you. Thank you, everyone in the chat room. I'm going to try to be on tomorrow, but if I'm not, you understand. It's all right. Have yourselves a great holiday weekend. If I'm not, Mike and Cindy, you do the same. And just remember, it's Labor Day, so we all labor. So, give yourself a break. That's the
Yes.
thing. Yeah, it's important. Yeah. Give yourself a pat in the back, a hug. That's how we do it. All right, everybody. We'll see you when I get back on. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.